Nice. All right, so let's actually just watch that one playing back. Okay, here's kind of the key point where we're ready to look at it here. So at this point there, it's kind of basically exactly what we like to see. We like to see the hands kind of on the hips and the shaft still in the air. If we were at this point here and the shaft was down here, that'd be a major no-no.
Okay.
So the more that the shaft stays in the air, the better.
Okay.
So the key is going to be, what do we do from this point here? This is where you really want to feel, I mean, it starts earlier in the downswing,
Okay.
but at this point here is where you really want to feel that core bringing the club through.
Got it.
Rather than, let's see how we did. Really the core kind of stalls out and the hands kind of bring the club through. So you're still in your posture, if you will, whereas at this point we want to really feel it is.
Got it. Like the kettlebell you were talking about yesterday.
Exactly. Kettlebells are a good one. You know, the kettlebell goes like this and you're using that core to lift the kettlebell up rather than just throwing it up with their arms, right?
Got
That
it.
would be a very similar
Got it.
analogy here.
Got it.
Where in your golf swing you kind of have it to this point here and you
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. I don't carry it all the way through.
Right. It comes from an instinct of the really either A, trying to get the ball up into the air, being told to stay down. And it's when we say stay down, what we don't want is we just don't want the entire posture to come straight up out of
Yeah.
it. But we do need to be thinking about getting extended through
So
the
I think like I've had because there were a few times we were playing golf yesterday where he was just like, you know, keep your head down, like look at the ball. Because there were a few times where I would like miss it. He was like, you moved your head up, like I wasn't looking at the ball.
Yeah.
But you can still move your body while you're still looking at the ball.
Correct, yeah. The ideal position would be somewhere like this, but if the head, you know, we're starting to see a lot of golfers on the tour, especially on shorter shots where their heads are rotating with the shots. Annika Sorenstam is probably the most notable one, you know, the best female golfer of the generation, and that when she would swing this way, her head would rotate as her body would rotate. So the idea of keep your head down is a little bit of a dying phrase,
Got it.
although it's said a lot, and it's not great
it.
advice. It does kind of hinder the progress here. This feeling here, I think what you'll start to see is when you do it the way we're looking for, your arms will be a little bit more extended. There won't be the need for them to bend.
And so is it bad that it bends like that or no? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's not bad. I shocked you there. It's not bad that it bends when the swing is done. If it bends, if it's bending as a result of the club being flung through like this.
Got it. It's almost like you have a baseball bat almost.
very
Got
much
it.
so.
Got it.
So let's do this. Let's click the live camera on here. And let's take our stance and let's walk through it together. And you just keep your eyes over there, and I'll help guide you with your stance and, as we're moving. Okay, so this is that point that we got the club to here. Now from here, you really want to feel like you're building some momentum, and then through. Keep an eye on that screen for me. The whole time we'll bring through slow. So at this point here is where we're left instead of back like that.
Got it.
So there's almost got to be a little bit of a pressure point kind of like here through the hip instead of.
Got it.
We always should have put the disclaimer out there that this is the hardest thing to learn in golf. This is the hardest part about the game. But when you get this,
The swing itself.
this part of the swing,
Got it.
everything else, the way that John Lynn and myself sort of feel about this is that everything else is sort of built off of this. Because the very basics for how you'd hit a chip, once we understand that the shaft, when it hits the ball is in this spot versus this one, well then everything that we do from here on out, whether it's chipping, pitching, driving, everything is built around that. It's very foundational. So when we would chip, the idea here is just that it swings back and through, and it's really just a torso movement. As it gets into a pitch, it just gets a longer torso movement, and a little bit
So
more.
it's all the same swing. It's just the club that changes
Exactly.
where it's going to go.
Exactly. And when you need it to go a different distance, that's why we're using different clubs, because we want to have, you know, either a pitching wedge, which has, it goes back to what we were talking about
Yeah.
yesterday with the loft of the club. So the pitching wedge has 46 degrees of loft, whereas the 9 has about 41, 42, depending on the manufacturer. And
Got it.
so you don't really change the swing, you just change the club in your hand to make it
Got
go
it.
a different distance.
Got it.
Short game chipping is a little bit more creative. There's a lot more creativity that goes into it, but the basis for how you hit the ball doesn't change from having our hands in this spot here. So it's in there. We'll walk through it one more time. So we like to have our hands even feeling like that. If anything, that hand is kind of in that position. There's really not a...
So you're almost kind of...
Yeah. Instead of... There's really not an amount of...
It's almost like this is pushed back
Yeah.
forward a little bit more.
Yep. You play any tennis at all? Mm-mm. It would be very similar to a tennis backhand.
Or I think I've had it more like this.
Wholeheartedly agree with that. And that's what the video is confirming for us,
Got
too.
it. I don't think I ever even noticed that was not right.
Okay? That's perfect.
Yeah.
We're unlocking mysteries here.
Okay.
Okay? Let's try one.
Okay.
And let's take a look. See, I'm a big believer in certain stages of different things here, where certain stages we want to watch a lot of video to make sure we're getting some good feedback here. I mean, great rotation with your torso back, and a little bent on that way through. Let's watch it again.
So,
And that's where,
meaning like I move it this way,
yeah. So this is kind of that position that you were,
like right there.
yep, where the
And it still should be forward.
Yep. Yep. I'll hit one here for you and
Got it.
give you something to look at, just as a comparison here. Sometimes when I get stuck on a different motion and I'm trying to feel how my body's moving differently, I like to pull this out and just really watch in the mirror. Once I see something on a video and then I get to watch it like this. Okay. Okay, let's watch it together here. So, similar spot as where you were. Hands are on the hips, where we talked about it there. The shaft is still in the air. But as I'm swinging through, you can see my hands really are being brought back to the ball with my torso. Stomach, kind of chest. And so that club, when it gets to my left foot, is still in this spot here, instead of where yours is leaned back a little
And
bit.
it's because I'm pulling my wrist back.
And then so as I rotate through, you can kind of see my arms get straighter down the line like this. There, more like that.
So crazy. I've never even noticed that. So like, am I doing it still?
Yeah, a little bit.
How am I?
It just takes time, that's all. So
Okay.
two areas that it comes from. It comes from one where a golfer instinctively thinks that they need to lift the ball into the air to get it in the air. The other side is if a golfer is overly handsy, it comes from the idea that a golfer thinks they have to use this club face
Yeah.
to make the ball go straight. And while the club face does make it go straight,
Yeah.
there's no dire need to twist it or do anything in your hands. Dylan and I actually talked about it this morning in our lesson. And I told him, I said, well, all right, if he's set up to the ball, And I said, okay, twist that club face in your hands one way. So he went like this. And I said, all right, does that look like that'd be a good way to hit the ball? No. I said, all right, now twist it the other way. No, that wouldn't work either. So when you ask yourself, well, then shouldn't really do any twisting,
Yeah.
turning, anything with my hands. Well, then how does the club face come back to the ball? And the simple answer is that it's because your body's rotating. So if we had no arms and we had to hit a golf ball, we'd have to hit it by swinging back and building momentum with our torso and swinging through.
Yeah.
So that job of controlling the club face is done by our torso.
Got it.
So those are the two most common, I'd say, misconceptions about a golf swing, is that we need to use our hands to get under the ball and lift, and that we need to use our hands to twist the club back to hit it straight.
But we shouldn't twist. We shouldn't twist.
So when I work with new golfers, one drill I always like to give them that basically tells them how their body should move is if we got into our stance in here, you take your stance and we'll do it together. I'll stand a little bit out here.
And how do we hold this just like this?
Just across our chest, and we get into our posture. This is a body drill to teach our body how to work. We twist it back and point it towards the ball, and then we twist it through and point it towards the ball. So it's back and through, and back.
I've seen Rob do this at home.
Yeah, so that's a great drill that essentially tells your body how to move. It twists back and it twists through. So that twisting action is moving the club face back and moving it through.
I think where I'm probably struggling the most is the wrist part. So like, is that better?
Yep. So you just need to basically lock your hands down, kick them a little forward.
Wait.
So kick them a little forward like that, and keep that little pressure point there, so that they don't swing back like that. Lock them down, kick them forward, and then rotate back, and then rotate through, and try not to let them do anything.
Don't keep it in that position.
Yep. Yep. Let it be done more by the big muscles.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you notice that when you start to free it up that way, your body naturally extends out. There you go. Like that.
Feels totally different.
It's just a lot less hands, right?
Yeah. I use a lot of hands, I think, is what I've been doing.
Okay, let's try one.
All right. Too much thinking.
So it's golf, and any golf lesson requires some thought up front. But I always, as a teacher by habit, I always really want to try to feed the thoughts down into about a couple words. So I really want to just think about the active thought, and the thought that you're thinking about while you're swinging and while you're playing, that you're walking away from here with, is that you're twisting back and twisting through and quieting your hands down. Really not letting the club head cross over your hands. So if you thought about that language there, and we can come up with more language, if that club head doesn't come over your hands, it would stay in that spot there. And it's just going to take some reps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And trust to believe that you can actually hit it that way.
Again. Okay, let me try this.
Practice
That was a
swing.
practice round.
Practice swing. Okay, let's try it again.
Did I do my wrist again?
A little bit. Let's see if that one was closer.
Still moving the wrist.
Yep, a little bit. All right, let's try this. Let me grab that alignment rod, and let's see if we can't use that drill a little bit. So hold it right about there. There you go.
And I'm doing like just a regular swing.
Not just a right now. I'd say let's do probably get a little closer to it. Move that ball just maybe a touch back, and I only want it to go from here to there. And I want you to feel just how much pressure we actually do need to put on this way in order to get it to move this way.
Got it.
Okay. So what it does is it just forces you to not use your hands in this way.
Got it.
Because it gives you a little jolt.
Okay. I feel like it's so awkward.
That lets us know it's working, right? And on this one, we'll use the video to capture it and let us know. Okay, that one I actually want to show you here. So you can see just how much lean we have on that shaft that was about there at address. Good. So that's the feel. It's a cumbersome drill, no doubt. Now the key and how do you make that better is that isolated by itself, that's more push with the shaft than we want. But when you compare it over here,
You could see the wrist.
yep, and then so this was the one that we just did with the, this is the beginning.
sticks.
Yep, with the stick. And that's how the arms.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, so it's exaggerated a touch, but I think it's necessary in learning
For me to
anything
get it.
to exaggerate it. Where this would get better is once you get your body involved. It's very much hands, and that's fine at first. But once your body gets involved and starts to rotate with it.
So I need to, because this feels so awkward.
I know.
Brian.
I know.
Feels
I almost hate
awkward.
making people do it because it is so cumbersome and awkward.
I feel like I'm just trying not to stab myself.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's truly what you're trying to get yourself to do.
Okay. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Am I too far?
I think you want to be a little closer at first.
Closer?
Just no. I mean that was good where you were.
Okay.
So, yep.
Oh, it feels really uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because this is what I'm doing, Brian. I'm going like this. I'm like really just trying to
Yes,
keep it away
absolutely.
from me.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing?
Correct.
All right.
Go. Start to feel a difference in contact there. A little bit. There you go.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I stabbed myself in the back. Was that bad?
If it happens very late, if it happens after the ball's gone, no, that's okay. But you start to see the ball shoot off the face, right? Nice. Nice. All right. Did we get that one? All right, let's give me one more like that. I want to show you that on video. Yep, love that. See how much the hands are swinging forward? You can see the little tape on the alignment rod. Torso swings it back forward. Now, if I was to say, how do we make it better, right? The way that we make it better is going to be instead of your upper body kind of reaching out towards the ball. This is a lesson in why not to get a Dell laptop. See how we're reaching out there? I'd like to see when you swing your arms through that way, standing a little bit more straight up over your left foot. So your follow through is a little bit this way, whereas I'd like to see kind of the butt underneath us.
I think it's because this is so awkward for me, right?
Yeah, it's all part of the stages in learning. We first got to learn to kind of push the handle forward, and then we've got to get you more comfortable. Do it again. So the first stage comes with us getting used to pushing it forward, but really we want to be coming up with it.
Bringing it up. Oh, instead of just forward.
Yeah, so this is, until we learn this, then our hands will always end up over there.
Got it.
So it's, right. Yep.
It's almost like your arms are further away from your body.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it on the way through.
You know what I mean?
For sure. We'll hit about 5 or 6 more, and then we'll do it without the stick. Sometimes there's no substitute for taking something that feels uncomfortable. From my history is that if it feels uncomfortable or if it feels awkward, it's usually targeting the right area. All right, let's do it without the stick now. And let's just make that kind of swing. Let's see if we can keep the feel the same. I like that one.
Too much to the right.
Okay, just one small adjustment. Same everything going forward, just when you swing it back, don't be afraid to lift it a little bit.
Okay.
That will complicate it a touch, but that should help it.
Oh, I did my wrist again.
Okay, but let's see if it was after. It may have been just after we hit the ball. Get me out of the way. Yeah, that's so much better. So much better. So, I mean, we call this an impact lesson more than anything. I don't want you to think about it. It's a golf swing lesson, but it's impact. It's from the club any club is waist high, swinging down towards the ball through it and then back up to waist high. That's basically how you have to use your arms and hands. There are things that we got to do with our body to make it better, but we've never really seen any golfer play at a high level or play at a mediocre level without having their hands in front of the club head coming in. So great work on that.
Awesome.
But it's going to take a lot of time with the drill.
I think, like you said, I think it's just the repetitiveness of it and getting used to it being that way.
Right. Let's do a few more. Now that we are making some headway on it. Again, a little bit of lift on the club going back to create some force and momentum.
Oh, I did wrist. That was bad.
There we go. And so what you'll start to find is that you go, okay, now I'm starting to feel this is how I've got to hit it. It's pretty functionally different. So once you change how you're hitting it, how that gets different, well then everything else starts to become easier.
Got it.
And I think hopefully what you'll take away from this is when you are swinging it down through and you hit one like that, you'll at least be able to feel the wrists involved now
Yeah.
where they shouldn't be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So from a practice program, what you'll really want to do is, I mean, you'll always want to have one of these around. You'll probably want to hit 5 or 6 with this to get that feel again.
Yeah.
Then put it off the side and do 5 or 6 without it, 5 or 6 with it.
And where should I, when I have this, the stripe should be on the top? Like, how should I know how far to put this on the...
Yeah, so I split the difference. So about half the alignment rod is out.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't make big swings with it. I force myself to use either a pitching wedge or a 9-iron or something that is short to where I'm only making that short little swing, because anything longer, A, has too much speed to really tell, and then B, happens so fast that I can't tell what happens with it. And I don't want to risk any sort of injury in myself. So
Yeah.
I just like making short swings here, through, because my belief is that if my swing is, no matter what happens in my swing, if it's good from here to here, that's all that really matters.
Okay.
Impact in golf has been nicknamed the moment of truth. Yep.
I feel like I'm pushing out more. Like, I think I'm used to like swinging with my arms being closer to my body.
Yeah.
Almost like you have to force your...
Yes. Very much so. Yep. You know, when your arms are close to your body, that sensation of what you're getting, of where the club is going down and flinging through.
Got it.
Got it?
I think so. I need to invest in one of these things, as uncomfortable as it is.
Take that one. I've got plenty of them.
I'm sure we've got one at home with all the boys' stuff.
Do you have questions for me?
No, for me, I want to, for this part right here, Brian, like, so that I can practice at home, because I'm very much a person that, like, I have to keep doing it over and over again for it
Yes.
to become, like, comfortable for me. And I don't want to start doing these practices at home and not be doing it right.
Right.
So, like, I feel like I'm just literally pushing out.
Yeah.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, so what I'd advise is start by getting your hands to push. Teach them to do that. How we get more comfortable with it is get your whole body involved. Get this motion where we showed you that drill. Get that involved and let your core
Yeah.
be the engine.
Okay. Got it.
So the car analogy is a great one. Everyone sitting inside the car is going to the same place, getting to the same place, but one person is in control. The driver of the car is in
Got
control
it.
of where they're going. So
Yep.
you want the driver to be your core and your arms to kind of be along for the ride. So where the quieter they get, the more passive they get, the more they just follow the path of how the body's turning, the better off you're going to be. The more that your body stays passive and your arms get to be the driver, that's when your club and hands are going to take over.
Can I see you do the swing with that?
Yeah.
With that? Just so see what the stick should look like.
And like I said, I know it's without a doubt pretty cumbersome, but it's been a pretty tried and true drill that has stayed pretty effective. It's almost impossible to not hit yourself if your body does not really turn out of the way.
Got it. But it hits you a little bit in the end, right? Once you get through, like the tip of it.
If I get lazy with my body, let's see if it did. If I get lazy with my body, it will. Hands lean forward. At that point, the shaft is there. And like you said, that's a good example of the view of what you said about how your arms feel like they're away from you.
Out. Yeah. They're like pushing out.
Yeah. Because if I get very lazy, I'll show you kind of the what I would describe as a lazy body movement. If I just swing it back, even rotating it back, quickly, all I did was tense up my body and just.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
And next week in class, I'll show you how to use Dylan's device. Yep.
Impacting. Those guys use it all the time.
Yeah,
Look
so-
at Nick.
So here's where my body, you can see when I change directions, my body's not really doing anything. My hips haven't moved, my shoulders haven't moved, they're just kind of throwing the hands down.
Yep.
And that's where my club kind of slings back like that. And now my arms do sort of, they're somewhat programmed to go extend.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like I said yesterday, the longer you do this, your brain will never let you swing and miss.
Yeah.
And your brain will never let you get the club stuck in the ground. If you remember those two things and you say, all right, that's what somewhat makes the game dangerous to learn and practice on your own. Like you said, you want to make sure that if you practice, you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So as irritating as this thing is, and for me, I don't like to practice with it either, but when I get off track, I do come out and I'll put this here. And anytime I change anything in my swing, my go-to type of swing, whether it's with a drill or with the stick or not, my go-to type of swing where I have to work on it is going to be from about here to here. So I really won't make too many long swings if I'm just trying to kind of groove my impact. I don't really ever work on too many things within my golf swing that are not in that area either.
Got it.
So it's kind of a lifetime of
Yeah.
adjusting,
Yep.
controlling. Looks like I actually have some work to do on it my own.
So so that's interesting. That's awesome. That's like something I never paid attention to. But yeah, I totally have to get, like you said, I have to be exaggerated to
Right.
get to a point where it needs to.
Yeah, yeah.